you hear me now? Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, I introduced myself. I'm Kasiri Arthur from Kampala, Uganda, and I'm the Elementor lead for Elementor Uganda. So I'm proud to have all of you. If we can just start by introducing ourselves and to know better who we are, just using a few minutes, then we can go on with the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, myself Sumit. I am from India.
All right, nice to meet you. Someone else?
Hello, I'm Catherine, and I'm from the United States.
Nice to meet you, Catherine.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, I can see Darrell Grant. Are you there?
Yes, I'm Darren Grant. I'm from Barbados.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Hello, Caesar Nzama from Kampala, Uganda.
Nice to meet you, Cesar. I can see Emmanuel Barreto from Mexico. Nice to have you. Anyone else can go on? Okay, just kickstarting. I need to make sure that all of you are seeing my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, I can see you, Joan from Entebbe, Uganda. Nice to have you here. Well, I can also see Yusuf Olokode from Nigeria. Thank you for attending. Well, this is going to be a session where we're going to be interacting together. And today's presentation is about working with pop-ups. So I have been receiving quite a number of questions about pop-ups. And during this time, I just need to make this presentation. And in case you have any questions, so you can, questions or complimentations, you can ask them or make the comments as you wish. We are also live on MySpaces, on Twitter. So just in case you're online, we can have you there. Okay, starting. So working with pop-ups, increasing sales with Elementor. This is going to be today's presentation. First of all, our Elementor meetup guidelines. So everyone is welcomed. You need to be respectful. Please share tips, support one another rather than self-support. And whenever you are non-talking, please mute the mic. Thank you. That said, let's kick in. So what is a pop-up? Pop-ups are a multifunctional tool that can help you convert traffic on your website into marketing leads. So here's a short list of pop-ups main functions. The main reason as to why we're using pop-ups is to generate subscribers, promote specific content, reduce the bounce rate. And just going further into this, when we talk about generating subscribers, what do we mean? So say your website has lots of visitors and you have no idea how to involve them in communication with your brand. A pop-up subscription form where users can leave their email address does the trick for you. This allows you to grow your mailing list, build relationships with the audience via email, and speed up the buyer's journey. As well, if you look at promoting specific content here, there are also the primary purpose of pop-ups is to generate leads. You can promote your ebook, guide, or case study relevant to the page or the visitor is on. It will also show how your expertise runs in that field and help your audience solve their problems. For instance, you can share your maybe harvest predictions via your next pop-up, your next email, which was been subscribing using a pop-up. You can as well reduce your bounce rate by using pop-ups, as we also saw there. So inside here, this metric shows you how fast a user leaves your website. That is what we mean by bounce rate. So to reduce the bounce rate, many marketers use a pop-up asking to share an email address or a phone number or other information to enable further communication. Such a pop-up usually appears when a user is about to close the tab or to leave the website. Well, I've been talking about summary is just the uses of pop-ups, generating subscribers, promote specific content, and reducing bounce rate. But with a well-crafted pop-up, you can convert your readers into engaged users and increase your conversion rates. And this is how we're going to do it. Well, just as a refresher, that's how pop-ups look like. They come in all kinds. Here we're going to be sharing the most delivering pop-ups and why we use them. So what's the catch of using pop-ups? I know there's quite a number of people who are so frustrated with pop-ups, but they are what I term as pop-up windows and pop-ups for the website. So if you run a website, chances are that you're using pop-ups, and if you aren't, you should be. Pop-ups can help you increase conversions on your website, and they should become one of the most versatile tools in your web design kit. Now, this part comes as a developer. So what you may not know is how to create outstanding pop-ups that engage your readers and convert them into readers and engaged customers. So in this presentation, I'm going to break down some tips to help you design the best pop-ups that you can. Then we'll go with some examples of pop-ups that get fantastic results and explain why they work. Okay, going forward, we have this ebook offer. So when you look at this kind of pop-up, this design works because it's simple and hard to ignore. See, it takes up the entire page. That forces you to decide how you want to interact with the element instead of being able to ignore it altogether. Now, looking at this kind of pop-up, although that's an aggressive tactic, you can offset it by offering visitors a freebie, such as an ebook, as you can see in that pop-up. That's a time-tested way to get email signups, which makes this an excellent pop-up example. So just to spend a few minutes, how many of you are having pop-ups on your website? By a show of hands. Yeah. Do you have anyone using specific pop-ups on their website? You can unmute and then talk. Yusuf says he does. Yusuf, if I may ask, what kind of pop-up do you have? What are you delivering? Are you delivering a freebie? Are you collecting just emails? What do you do with that pop-up? Well, in case you want to say something, yes, you can unmute. Emmanuel Barreto says, I usually use Popup to show new offers. That's awesome.
Hi. I just use the pop-up to get the leads.
Yes, Samit, you're saying? Okay. All right, so going to our next kind of pop-up here, we can see we have a customer sign up menu. So as you can see there, the above example comes from Lindsay.
Can be taking as we wait for the host.
Hello, sorry for that. There's been some internet connection error, but I'm trying to log back on. Hello. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet, the screen hasn't come. Your bandwidth is low.
Okay, can you hear me now? Are we able to see this?
Yeah, we are back.
All right, thank you for your patience. So going on, we stopped at the customer sign up menu. So when we look at this customer sign up menu, you can see it's on the side, as you can see here, Conva Clubs. So the above example comes from Lindsay Letters, which is a website, a home decor website actually. Its pop-up menu prompts you to sign up to the website and leads you to its rewards page, which can be an effective way to drum up interest among new visitors. So seeing this, as you can see, the pop-up menu uses a similar design aesthetic as the rest of the website, which is key because visitors won't see it's an element that they can ignore. So when you look at this this kind of pop-up, you realize that it looks like it's part of the website. There are quite a number of people who really hate pop-ups to an extent I would just close. But when you look at such a pop-up, it just looks like it's part of the menu. And this is quite an interacting pop-up. Then there's what we call the first time discount offer. So asking, how many of you have ever had these first time discount offer pop-ups? You can unmute and then okay. Well, first time discount offers, when you look at this kind, it's from a design perspective. So the above e-commerce pop-up example is it's simple yet effective. The offer is laid out clearly and in big bold letters, then followed by a distinct call to action. Moreover, with this type of pop-up design, you get a chance to sign new visitors up to your email list, that nurtures your leads, and even they don't make they make purchases right away. When you look at this kind of a pop-up, well, everyone loves a discount, even for stores they've never shopped at before. So in fact, offering a one-time discount code to a new user can be a fantastic way to get new customers. Well, I've had quite a number of sites where we implement this. You use a pop-up to offer a discount for a client in an exchange for an email. Now imagine if this is a kind of website that has about 1,000 visits per month, just per se, and everyone is getting a discount in an exchange for an email. So you're building an email base with just a pop-up. You can see how this looks like. Very simple and up to the point. Okay. Our next pop-up is a simple email sign-up form. Although the design here is minimal, that works it to an advantage. The pop-up doesn't distract you from the browsing of Under Armour's website. Now, this is Under Armour's website. It's a website well known for its gym equipment. Now, when you look at this, it works with the whole design of minimalism. When you look at the pop-up, so depending on the power of your brand, you might not need to offer any freebies or discounts for users to want to sign up for your email list. Under Armour website happens to be a well-known in the market, so it can get away with a more basic email sign-up pop-up. As you can see here, the pop-up is just on your right-hand side. So this pop-up example demonstrates how sometimes less is more. As you can see, it's just to the point. So plus with this type of design, you won't have to worry about overwhelming or irritating visitors. So when we look at this kind of pop-up here, you can see it's just to the point. And this only works if your brand maybe is just known out there. You don't have to give up anything, but people will want to receive regular updates of items that you're having, or if you're a blog website, to know what kind of blogs you're going to be running. And you can send you can send updates to people who have subscribed to your email using the pop-ups that are there. Well, another one here is free learning materials. We can all see this kind of pop-up, and if you ever visited a search engine journal, I believe you have seen this quite frequently. So looking at this kind of pop-up, so traditionally most marketers and website owners offer freebies in exchange for email signups, or other types of valuable data. I call this offering a freebie at the cost of an email. So however, search engine journal uses a colorful pop-up to offer visitors the opportunity to access valuable learnings resource with no strings attached. Now, this is what search engine journal is doing exactly. The goal of this approach to build a rapport with new users, since they don't know how valuable your website can be to them, yet they might not want to share their contact information. Now, this is the basis as to why you're creating this kind of pop-up. By offering a free resource, they can access right away. You can begin to build a relationship with your users. In this particular case, the pop-up design is outstanding with quality imagery and colors that make it hard to ignore, as you can see there. This method also works if you want to redirect visitors towards a landing page instead of using a pop-up for lead collection. For example, with the landing page, you can include a lot more information and potentially increasing conversions even further. So this is a pop-up which I got from Search Engine Journal. The next is a pop-up contact form. Now, in some cases, you might not need a full-blown contact page for your website. Often, a simple pop-up will do the trick. So since you can use it, include all the fields that visitors might need to fill out. Now, you realize that there are some websites where people are too lazy to just go to the contact page, but pop-ups do the trick. As you can see, so this contact form is really hard not to notice. This ties in perfectly with the website design. You may not even know that it's actually a pop-up. Once it appears, it applies a blurring effect to the background that makes for a very nice touch. So it is very hard to miss an eye of your website visitor kind of pop-up. The next pop-up we have is a blog redirection pop-up. When you look at this blog redirection pop-up, the above pop-up redirects you to one of the hosting companies. If you have ever seen WP Engine, this is the kind of pop-up. The goal is to provide more reasons why the service can benefit you as a customer. So whenever you're setting up a pop-up, you need to understand what does the client want, or you as the developer, what do you want to achieve with this kind of pop-up? When you look at this kind of pop-up here, there's a call to action there, then the lady on the left, but it's more for redirecting to a certain page. You probably know WP Engine as one of the most popular managed WordPress hosting companies in the field. But beyond that pedigree, WP Engine also uses pop-ups rather creatively. When you look here, instead of offering freebies, just like other pop-ups we've been saying, you can use pop-ups to give visitors the opportunity to engage with your existing content. It's an interesting approach when you look at it. So under the pop-ups, this one looks really appealing. However, if you want to try this strategy, I would recommend avoiding generic stock images for your site pop-ups. So you have at least real images that are really appearing here. As I said, in case you have any question, you can just shoot in. Well, here in this session, I'm just giving you some tips, some design tips for the pop-ups. But before we go on any further, I just need to know if I just need you to share out if you have ever used a pop-up and what was your goal for that pop-up. You can unmute and then just share.
Hello.
Yes, Samit.
Yes, I use pop-ups many times. Basically, I use pop-up to capture the leads only. Like in the pop-up, I just add the form with the name, email address, mobile number, and the message fields. So any user submit the data, that details will forward to the mail ID. So that's the whole scenario I have performed using the pop-up.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. This is so wonderful. Yes, Yusuf, you're saying something?
No, sorry. No.
Okay. Anyone sharing their experience with pop-ups? What do you use pop-ups for on your website? Have you used anyone on a client's website, and maybe what were the response to them? Okay, if we don't have any, then let's go forward. So key tips for pop-up designs. We've seen a number of kind of pop-ups and how best they've really worked on not to annoy so many users because of using pop-ups. And I'm just giving you a few tips. Now, this is tip number one. Use a similar aesthetics as the rest of your site. Pop-ups stand out from other elements by definition. We all know that. However, to prevent users from perceiving them as annoyances rather than part of your site experience, you'll need to design the pop-ups to use the same colors, fonts, overall style as other elements. Now, I know quite a number of developers that have really tried to work out with pop-ups, but end up doing these things in a way that appeals to them. We need to understand that when we're creating websites, we are creating websites for people who may not even know how to browse, or people who really are just looking out for a certain service or product. When someone finds an annoying pop-up and it doesn't actually look so visually appealing to them, they will just lose out. They just click away from the site. I have visited a number of sites, or I also inquired from a number of friends how they interact with websites that are having pop-ups. And one came out and said that the sites that you really visit and they have huge pop-ups that actually have no closing buttons. You can't close that pop-up. The only thing you can do is just to click through and maybe go through to the content. And the worst thing that they've done is unless instead of going forward with the pop-up, they just cancel all the visiting that site and maybe go to a competitor's website. So all comes out to how are you designing, how are you laying out your pop-up on your website? Does it really stand out in an aspect that works or blends with your website, or it's something that's more of an ad? So if it's the later, that means you're really going to increase your bouncing rate because you find an ugly pop-up per se, and all you have to do is just to delete or not, decide not to visit. Okay. The next thing is ensure that your pop-ups are easy to close. I think this is what I've been explaining and partly explaining up there. Avoid creating pop-ups that are hard to close. In most cases, these only frustrate visitors and make it less likely that they will want to convert. If someone, I've seen beautiful pop-ups that show on a desktop, but actually worse on a mobile version. And this way, Elementor comes in a way that you can customize these pop-ups, how they look on each device. And you can also customize screens using Elementor when you're trying to when you're trying to design your pop-up. We also have use call to actions that are CTAs that are impossible to ignore. We saw WP Engine pop-up and how it works like. It's really hard not to notice it. The goal of the most pop-ups in modern web design is to help you get more conversions. If you don't feature your CTA prominently within your pop-ups, you miss out on that opportunity. I've used pop-ups on e-commerce websites. For example, there are quite a number of e-commerce sites that I've used, and I've seen them delivering. I've seen people subscribing to emails with just pop-ups, and not these just Google ads that pop out, but real pop-ups that are created for the website. The next, I think this should be the final, is keep your pop-ups simple. Pop-ups shouldn't include dozens of fields or long paragraphs of text. They're a brief stop users make before returning to your real website. You want the stop to be short. The more complex your pop-ups are, the less likely it is that your users will want to engage with them. So when you see, if you really complicate pop-ups, because these are supposed to be easing users on the eyes, not something that they will need to maybe search or fill in a lot of content, or a pop-up that looks bulky will really not work out that good for you. So you just need to keep them simple and easy for the eyes to use. Well, in case you have any question, you can ask. I think this has been our last slide. Anyone has any question? Oh, anyone has any compliment? Anyone any compliment? They are sharing their user experiences with pop-ups. Okay, I can see Logose. Yes, you can come in.
Thank you very much, Arthur. I just want to share my experience with pop-ups with some of the organizations that we worked with, especially during COVID when the entire world shut down, and yet the e-commerce sites still had to work and people still needed products. So we had to implement pop-ups to give customers instructions on what to do instead of them going around the site trying to find out, can I still order? Is the shop still open? So we designed simple pop-ups that gave them instructions or a number to call in case they needed something to be delivered to them. And for the organizations that implemented that, it really worked for them because it reduced the number of times that the customer had to click in order to find the information that they wanted. Then personally, like you said earlier, when people go to our website, and this is my personal experience with pop-ups on websites, especially the GDPR pop-ups. They've become very popular on the internet right now, in that there are some websites you will start to read something as you scroll down just above 2 lines, then a pop-up will come up and you cannot close. You cannot go forward until you've accepted the cookies or accepted whichever policy. I really hate those. And every time I'm on a website, however good it is, whether it has so much information that I want, when that comes up, I just leave the website and go find another one. Then I have a question. One of the types of pop-ups you mentioned was the one for the contact form. Now, at what point do you put that? Because you don't really know what the customer is doing on the website. You don't know when they want to leave. Though, of course, I know there are plugins that can detect when a customer wants to leave a website, and then you put a pop-up. But what's your advice? At what point do you put this contact form pop-up?
Okay, thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Joanne, for your complimation. It's really nice. I'm also seeing more questions in here, but yes, I can agree with you. During the COVID, when we had lockdowns here, pop-ups really worked very well. And to me, I see the best way to display urgent information was through the pop-ups that showed that yes, business is still running, or they design a different page that has COVID-19 information, how they are working, what are their SOPs, the visiting hours. If it popped out and show a user the directions on which the business was running, I received so many click-through rates in such pop-ups that I had implemented on some websites that I had designed. And it really did me well as well. When I also visited some other websites, for example, banking, the banking website, like the bank website for the banks, these had urgent information, their working hours, and this helped one to, see and realize what efforts are they doing, what urgent information has to be passed on, and it really worked. So you're asking about the contacts pop-up. Now, with the contacts pop-up, I as well implemented this on my website. The contacts pop-up, I just put it as a trigger because I use Elementor to create these pop-ups. And with Elementor, you can still create triggers. You can still detect when someone has just browsed half a page or 3/4 of the page for a certain pop-up to come up. Now, with this kind of contacts, per se, if I'm reading through, going through your website, maybe seeing your portfolio, instead of clicking to a contact or a call to action that is maybe besides your portfolio, or there is an image that is demanding, someone wants a service, which is just next to what you've been explaining, to instead of them going to a contacts page, you put a button that has contact us or ask more about this project. Then when they click, a contact pop-up comes down then, and they can input all they want, then send. So someone can still continue browsing through other projects while still going through that same page. I don't know if I answer very well, August, Joanne.
Yes, thank you very much. You've actually given me an idea because we have a lot of projects, and yeah, I've gotten an idea on what I can do to help people interact with those pages more.
Okay, thank you. So I'm seeing Emmanuel Barreto is asking, I have visited so many websites that pop-ups get really annoying. In your asking my experience, where and when to use them. With pop-ups, depends on the kind of website that you're developing or the kind of advice that you can give to a client. For example, if it's, I usually use quite a lot of pop-ups with e-commerce websites, informing people of the latest products or latest shopping vouchers, or maybe a subscription basis kind of shopping way. But when it comes still to blogs, you realize that there are some people who may want to use pop-ups to deliver content, such as blogs. Someone doesn't have to visit your website on a regular. They can receive that same information via their email. Now, when one subscribes to that blog, when you put a pop-up for one to just have that freedom to subscribe to your blog, they will actually come through, and knowing that they won't visit your website on a regular, but when they receive that update through their email, it's when they can visit your website. As well, pop-ups depend on the kind of goal that you have to a client or to a developer. To what urgent information do you want to pass on? What kind of route do you want people to take when they visit your website? I hope I've answered that, Emmanuel. Catherine also asked, Catherine, can you please be clear? I think I didn't understand. Do pop-ups from slow down spam? I didn't get that. Onyango Henry, yeah. Can we please have a
Um,
hand? Yes. Catherine,
Oh,
yes.
I just was wondering, I'm still old school and I use forms to gather information and I haven't yet gone to pop-ups yet. And I was wondering if you put a form in a pop-up, by any chance, does it block or slow down any of the bots that are looking to fill out forms, since bots can't really click on buttons or links to activate a pop-up? Would that be a way to discourage or slow down spam from being filled in to forms?
Um, okay, thank you. Yes, Catherine. I use quite a number of pop-ups, and yes, pop-ups can decrease on spam, because when you realize bots are now tricked into clicking on specific links on your pages, per se, your contacts page, you can embed anything with Elementor. You can embed anything into that into the pop-up. I've also seen another website that I saw that embedded a Calendly booking feature inside the pop-up, in that when you clicked on the book, on the schedule a meeting, it's the Calendly booking plugin that brought up that pop-up where you're supposed to schedule a meeting. So yes, pop-ups can help you to at least cut off the spam rate, compared to just having a direct contact page. Hope I've answered that, Catherine.
Thanks.
Okay. Henry is asking for a hands-on example on how to set up an outstanding pop-up, even if it's one. Okay, I hope you have time on this one. Yes, can consider that. Thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, working on a pop-up. Well, I can show you. All right. Thank you, Henry. I think we can do this, but I don't think time is with us right now, although we can have a hands-on experience. So any other compliment? Oh, yes, Joan, I can see you saying something.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. I have another question. I've not really dealt with Elementor e-commerce features so much. I think you have more experience with that. So I'm wondering if Elementor has any abandoned cart features, because I'm looking at this whole pop-ups and I'm thinking about abandoned carts in case of e-commerce. Have you interacted with those, and does Elementor have anything like that?
Well, about abandoned cart, I don't think it has. The only customizations that we've had using Elementor is customizing the cart page, customizing the checkout page, but abandoned cart, not yet. However, I think can just use an extra plugin for that, but for abandoned cart, it hasn't yet. It really hasn't.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other compliment or question? Okay. Catherine has shared a link for abandoned cart. And I think, yes. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Yes, Rogers Friedman, thank you. Okay, now I'm really grateful for everyone. And I really want to thank you for attending this meetup. I want to take a screenshot for all of us. If you can just a moment. Oh, well,